Good morning and welcome to the Swine Product Spotlight presented by the Iowa Pork Producers Association. I'm Cindy Cunningham and I'll be your host for these spotlights today and tomorrow. We are so glad that you've joined us today. As you can see, the 49th Annual Iowa Pork Congress looks a bit different this year as we have had to limit our in-person events and move the educational seminars and Iowa Pork Foundation auction to a virtual format. While the shift in events is a disappointment, the IPPA Board of Directors used the core We Care values to make decisions to keep the whole community safer as the nation works through the coronavirus epidemic. Even with these changes, you can still connect with vendors, attend seminars, and much more. One of the important aspects of the Iowa Pork Congress is that during the trade show, it gives pig farmers an opportunity to talk to a variety of vendors and kick some tires. We will be doing that through the Swine Product Spotlight right here on this webinar this morning, and again at 2:30 this afternoon, and also 9:30 and 2:30 tomorrow. If you're interested in other seminars, the auction, or more, just log on to the Iowa Pork website at iowapork.org for a complete schedule and to register. And be sure to follow along on social media. That's hashtag Iowa Pork Congress 2021. Again, that hashtag is Iowa Pork Congress 2021. During our time here today on the Swine Product Spotlight, our goal is to showcase companies and their products, bringing to you the latest in swine products, technology, and innovation. These are some of the highlights of what you would have seen at the trade show. This is the first of our 4 spotlights. So if you miss one live or want to watch again, or simply just log on and view them again, just go to the Iowa Pork website. Again, that's iowapork.org, or the Swinecast website at swinecast.com. Our first order of business is about the technology we're using today. To make this easy for all who have joined us, we've taken care of some of the details for you. You're in a listen-only mode, which means we've muted your microphones for you. Chances are you have some questions for our guests today and for specific companies. Let me say we welcome those questions. Just type them in the QA box at the bottom of your Zoom window, and I'll be sure each speaker takes some time to answer them for you. I'm extremely excited about the folks you'll meet today during our session: AP, Merck Animal Health, and Central Life Sciences. We'll spend about 10 minutes with each company. We've got a lot of ground to cover this morning, so let's get started. Our first guest today is AP, with a full line of feed storage and delivery systems, feeders, ventilation, and environmental controls. AP is a longtime exhibitor at the Iowa Pork Congress and an Iowa Pork Alliance member. We're excited to have AP with us in each of our spotlights with different products.
So the Flex-Flo unloader has a few things that we want to talk about overall. So with this design is a low profile, which gives you a little bit more distance between the bottom of the unloader and the clear plastic boot. This is important for any maintenance type activities or even some feed reclamation activities that may take place with the system. It also comes with a custom molded clear door. So you'll have easy visualization of what's going on inside that unloader without taking the access door off. Also, we will have a full line of product offerings. So the Model 220, Model 300, Model 350, HR, and 500 will all get these upgrades. So some of the features we want to talk about today is wear, right? That's probably the main reason that we started this project, is we saw that there was longevity issues in our current galvanized unloader line. So in order to combat that, what we did is we took some of the parts and turned them into glass-filled nylon. So 2 of those parts is the tube anchors and then a wear plate that I'll show you an individual picture of later in the presentation. So with that increase, it increased the wall thickness and changed material. So we have at least 4 times wear resistance compared to our current galvanized unloaders. It also improves the tube alignment. We can hold much better tolerances with an injection molded part than what we can with a welded part, because in welded parts you get a lot of warping and distortion depending on how it's welded and the type of material that you're welding. So our quality of those parts is going to be dramatically improved. One other thing that we did is we have a 75% larger opening. So up here, we've increased this opening, so we're going to have 75% more opening compared to our legacy line of unloaders, which will definitely help with feed bridging events. And then also we talked a little bit more is increased grounded clearance and why that was important. So some of the other features is water intrusion. We have custom EDPM gaskets on the tube anchors and transfer plates. So on here, you're going to have a gasket. Up here, you're going to have a gasket to give us the best seal in the industry. We'll also have corrosion resistance because the parts we're talking about, they'll also be composite or plastic, right? The nylon material I was talking about. So that by default is going to be a very corrosive resistant material. Along that line as well, those that aren't composite materials, we're going to have our standard galvanized offering that we've had for many years. We're also going to come up with the stainless steel offering for those people that want that added corrosion protection. Another thing that is good about this is ease of serviceability. What does that mean? So it's easy to service. So if we do have a part that breaks or gets worn out for many different reasons, we can replace the wear plates without removing the auger. We can add or remove baffles through the access door, and there's really no special tools. If you've got a good set of wrenches in your truck, you'll be able to service this unloader. The next thing is modular design. So all these unloaders use similar parts and pieces, and we just put them together in a kit or an assembly to come up with the different twin through, twin out, and so on and so forth. So we'll have single, twin, and quad versions. Quad version is new, and that's something I'll show you in a future slide coming up soon. Common wear plates and tube anchors. So the model 220, 300, 350, and HR use the same wear plates. So you don't have to have different versions for different sizes of unloaders if you have that in your area or your system. And we also have optional models to fit on legacy unload systems. That means any unloader that we've got today will have a new version of that that will directly bolt up to that current style 16-inch boot, and you're off to the races. The last thing that I want to mention on this slide is this system is patent pending. Here's a breakout, exploded view, if you would, of all the different components. So it just shows the tube anchors, the gaskets, and things like that, and the anchor bearings. This is a slide I was talking about. This is the wear plate. So you can see the wall thickness is much thicker. It's got a very, very uniform design. So the alignment is going to be as good as it can possibly be, because this alignment, this surface is going to mate up exactly to the tube anchor. So there won't be any wear points that the auger can work at wearing like we might see on some of our steel unloaders today. The last slide that I've got here is kind of giving you a 360 view of the different things and configurations that we can have. So one noticeable difference that you'll see is our anchor bearing system has changed to a bolt-on system. This allows it to be fastened directly to the unloader body, and we don't have to worry about those muffler clamps getting loose and pushing that auger out the back of the bin. This is showing a legacy unload system with our current 16-inch either clear, translucent, or black boot. We've got a model that'll fit up exactly to that. And then I had also mentioned the quad unloader. So this is another version that we wanted to use our 75% increased opening, but a lot of times we'll need up to 4 augers coming out of a particular bulk tank. So with that, we've got this quad offering available as well. Thank you for the quick presentation and your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to call out at 712-441-0029 or email me at brian.rieck@agcocorp.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, Brian, thanks a lot for sharing that information with us about the Flex-Flo unloader today, and welcome to our spotlight. I know our producers probably have some questions, and producers, it's your turn. We would like to have you send us our questions. Just type them in the QA box, and I'll make sure that Brian takes a minute to answer each one of those questions from you. Again, it's the QA box at the bottom of the Zoom window for producers for questions. Brian, I've got some questions. That was really interesting, and I appreciate what you were showing us there. Is this product already available, or when will it be available?
So the plan for launch for this product is we're going through what I call a pre-production launch right now, so it's available today. And we will launch the complete line of the unloaders that I showed in the presentation at the end of Q1 or the end of March.
Okay. You talked a lot about boots in there, and I guess I have a question about compatibility. Is this product compatible with competitors' boots and unloaders?
Absolutely. So basically, all our systems will be competitive or compatible, excuse me, with any of our competitors. So if they use a 16-inch collar with the slide gates, it should be a simple process of unbolting the old unloader and bolting the new unloader in its place.
And here's a question from one of our producers. How long does it take to install and configure this system?
If you purchase the assembled version, it would take you no longer than it would today. So basically, it would be as simple as taking 4 bolts out of the slide gate plate and then removing the unloader. Of course, the first thing you'd have to do is take the auger out, disconnect the PVC tubes, and then basically reverse that process and bolt the unloader up, replace the tubes, replace the auger. My estimation would be less than an hour to replace an unloader in an existing system.
That sounds like a great way to do that. What kind of packaging options are available to the marketplace?
So with this new design, it gives us a few more options that we didn't have before. So of course, we'll have the assembled version that most producers would be familiar with. We're also going to give them the opportunity to do a knockdown kit, so it does not come factory assembled, and then also buy parts in bulk. And the reason that the kits would be good for an end user, so you can basically build a twin through or twin out if you have the components. You don't necessarily have to have that assembly sitting on the shelf. You can build the different sizes and models that you need off a pool of parts that you would have in your warehouse, which would help to keep inventory low.
Well, and I would assume that you are there ready to help all of our producers if they're interested in upgrading to this new Flex-Flo unloader or any of the parts and pieces that they may need for their current systems. I know you mentioned it in your slides, but tell us one more time how we can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So we're always here to help on this or any of our AP products. So one place that you could go to is www.automatedproduction.com, and that would show the full list of products we have, and you can contact us there. Another way to contact us would be through our Sioux City office, and that phone number would be 712-239-1011.
Brian Rieck, we really appreciate you taking time with us today to talk about the AP's Flex-Flo unloader. And also, we appreciate very much that you are a supporter of our producers here in the state of Iowa and across the country, Iowa Pork Congress, and also a member of the Iowa Pork Alliance. We will talk again with the team from AP later in this hour, as well as in all of our spotlights. And up next is Merck Animal Health. Merck brings to you Armatrex, and here to share more information is Dr. Brett O'Brien, a technical service veterinarian on the swine team at Merck Animal Health.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Brett O'Brien. I'm a technical service veterinarian with Merck Animal Health. And today I'm excited to talk to you about a new product called Armatrex that we are offering in the animal health marketplace. This product, I'm excited, is here to add an extra layer of protection to your existing sanitation and biosecurity programs that you have in place. So let's dive in. What is Armatrex? Armatrex is an antimicrobial bacteriostatic finish that provides long-lasting protection at the surface that is treated. So I think one of the most important attributes really is the residual activity, antimicrobial activity that this product offers at the surface interface between cleanings. This is really critical. Again, it will help reduce the buildup of biofilms and microbial colonization. So that can help increase the longevity of the equipment or surfaces that are treated, giving that extra, and then also with that residual antimicrobial activity, gives you that extra peace of mind and insurance that you've got long-lasting protection right there at your surface. It is approved for both a live animal production and companion animal care. It can be used in a variety of locations, for example, vet clinics, laboratory settings, offices, within our barns, trailers, etc. The value really for this product, as I see, is it's cost effective, has very easy application methods, and really, as I mentioned before, is used to enhance your existing sanitation and biosecurity programs, and it protects animals against a wide variety of bacteria, fungi, algae, and mold. If we walk through what happens over time on a typical surface, you can see here that when we start with a clean, disinfected surface, over time in short order, bacterial levels start to grow up on those surfaces. And then you can see that those get diminished at each time that we clean and sanitize and disinfect. And so we have this cyclical nature, but we do get those bouts between cleanings that high bacterial level of growth. If we look at what contrast that with an Armatrex treated surface, what that does, and you can see here, is that residual antimicrobial activity that hinders and doesn't allow that bacterial level in between the times of cleaning to really build up to that excessive level. Here shows those contrasted together, and you can see that significant reduction in bacterial growth on an Armatrex treated surface compared with one that is not. So let's take a deeper dive in terms of how it works. So Armatrex is a silane quaternary ammonium salt. You can see the molecule laid out here. We've got on the far left the silane base, and that adheres to the surface. Likewise, it also adheres to other molecules of Armatrex. Then you've got the nitrogen that is close to that silane base, followed by a long carbon chain. So the silane base, again, it attaches to the surface. The nitrogen there, which is positively charged, is actually the part of the molecule that attracts microbes to it. And when they do that and come into it, then that proton-rich environment really suffocates the protein membrane of the pathogen. More specifically, the cytoplasmic absorption of nutrients is disrupted and the structural integrity of the cell is destroyed. I am a visual person, so I wanted to put this up, and I would call your attention to the far right, where you can see on the top E. coli bacteria that are colonized on an untreated surface. By contrast, right below that, you can see an Armatrex treated surface, and you can see that disruption and killing evident and the structural damage done to the E. coli bacteria on the Armatrex treated surface. One nice thing is Armatrex can be applied various ways. Here you're seeing a handheld electrostatic sprayer system working for application, but it can also be applied using a pump sprayer, just brushing, dipping, wiping, soaking, or using a foam finish technique. Just to recap, it's the highlights for what Armatrex offers you is one, I think is most important, is the long-lasting residual protection. When a surface is treated with Armatrex, it offers up to 90 days of protection with that antimicrobial activity, which will enhance your existing sanitation and biosecurity programs that you have in place, to be used in conjunction with those, not to replace what you already do. Next down, it offers protection against a broad spectrum of antimicrobial to target. So both gram positives, gram negatives, fungi, mold, etc. It is EPA registered product for use in livestock and companion animal facilities. Use of an electrostatic sprayer, as mentioned, really helps allow uniform coverage of the product. It is available in a ready-to-use formulation, so that makes its use in our facilities, I think, much easier, and can be applied, as I mentioned before, to multiple locations, whether that be delivery trucks, silos, in a vet clinic, in your barn, in your offices, or labs. Here at Merck, our aim is to create value and contribute to the ongoing success of our customers. We provide innovative, high quality, and above all, solution-driven products such as Armatrex and services for farm and companion animal species. Specifically here with the Armatrex, I think we have brought to the table a level of innovation that offers an enhancement to existing biosecurity programs, helping you protect your animals and livelihood. Likewise, Armatrex controls pathogens, reducing animal exposure and improving animal health, which is what we're about. Thank you for the time this morning, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Wow, Dr. O'Brien, that was great information. That was a lot of information in a very short amount of time, though, and we do have some questions that are coming in. Before we get to those questions, I'd like to remind all of our producers, drop us your questions in the QA box, and we will make sure that Dr. O'Brien takes a minute to answer those questions. And as always, thank you, Dr. O'Brien, for your longtime support of Iowa Pork Congress with Merck Animal Health. We really appreciate that. We've got some questions coming in. Let's start out with how would I know I need Armatrex? What testing should I be doing to make the decision to use Armatrex?
Oh, thank you again for the opportunity here this morning, Cindy. And that's a great question. You know, to me, Armatrex is, as I mentioned, the extra insurance or strengthening of existing sanitation and biosecurity programs you may have in place. So when it comes to insurance, I sort of think all scenarios can use that extra insurance. But when it comes to specific situations at hand, you know, I think if you're plagued by consistent disease concerns, especially in young animals or new animals placed that you're seeing consistently, or have concerns around sanitation programs, you know, this gives you that peace of mind that you've got that antimicrobial finish and extra protection right at the surface to help give you that extra layer of protection. I have seen some folks as well, when they're trying to assess the role that the surfaces are seeding or infecting and starting that process for newly placed animals too, doing some environmental culturing, et cetera, and that has shown or helped support the need for use of this type of product. But again, once applied and cured on a surface, you've got up to 90 days of that residual activity, which
so I'm actually gonna skip around in the questions that have come up so far from our producers, because the next question really kind of relates to that. Is it effective to use in pole barns and free stalls, and will sunlight break down that 90 days faster, break it down faster in that 90 days?
Yeah, no, good question. It is extremely a rigid compound that will hold up through extremes in the environment. So I think in those outdoor situations, or the ones that you outlined, the use of this product should be fine. The key really for applying the product is to start with a clean, dry surface. So that's your ideal to start with. Put it on. There's a myriad ways that you can do it, with a pump sprayer, wiping it on, or an electrostatic sprayer. And then you want to give it time to adequately dry and cure on the surface. And that typically takes about 1 to 3 hours, just depending on the humidity level. But once on, again, with those out in the sunlight, cold, you know, the temperatures that we experience, that finish will hold up through that 90 days. So.
And you hit the answer to one of our other questions. Does it come in a wipe form? Sounds like it comes in a wipe form. And then where do I purchase this, and what packaging does it come in?
Yep, it comes in a ready-to-use formulation in 1 gallon bottles. So from a wipe form, you can put the liquid onto a dedicated towel or wipe that you want to put down. But for purchasing standpoint, reach out to your Merck Animal Health sales representative, and they would be happy to assist in procuring you some to try in your operation. So.
Well, Dr. O'Brien, our time is up, but we really do appreciate you being with us today. And as always, we appreciate Merck's support of our producers, Iowa Pork Congress, and being an Iowa Pork Alliance member. Now we'd like to welcome back to our spotlight AP. AP, as we know, has a full line of feed storage and delivery systems, feeders, ventilation, and environmental controls. And Jeff Schoening, the technical sales manager with AP, is going to join us to talk about gestation sow feeders, or GSFs.
Hello, welcome to the Iowa Pork Congress and to AP's virtual booth. I'm Jeff Schoening with AP, and today we are going to talk about group sow housing and feeding gestation sows in group sow housing. Briefly, I wanted to talk a little bit about who AP is and our history. We are part of the GSI group, which was formed in 1972 by Craig Sloan. In 1988, we started the company of automated production systems. In 1993, a company called AAA was purchased, which kind of fulfilled Craig's vision of being a one-stop equipment place to buy all your hog confinement equipment. We were purchasing ventilation controls from a company in Quebec called Thevco in 2008. AP purchased that company. That is now GSI Electronics, and they manufacture all of our ventilation controls for AP. In 2011, the GSI group was sold to AGCO, and from that point on, we have been able to be part of a large corporation with a lot of resources and the ability to develop new products. AP is under the GSI group. It's still branded that way, and we are a core brand of AGCO. So if you go to AGCO's webpage, you will see us as a core brand. And so we are, equal partners to the other core brands that they have. So getting into sow feeding and pen gestation, there are several different types of ways to feed sows, and they're grouped into what we call competitive and non-competitive systems. So a floor drop, or where we're just dropping feed on the floor, and the stanchion, where we drop individual piles of feed into a somewhat protected area for the sow, are competitive systems, meaning that a sow can compete with another sow to get that portion of feed. The non-competitive systems are systems where a sow goes in, she's protected from the other sows, and she is fed her portion of the feed individually. Free access feeders are one of those type of systems where sows can go in and out of an individual free access feeder where there's one feeder per sow. We have full functioning ESF systems where the sow walks into the feeder, is fed feed and water, and then she leaves and the next sow comes in. And then there's also what we call free access ESF, where a sow walks into a free access feeder, her RFID tag is read, and her correct portion of feed is fed to her. The advantage of the GSF is that compared to a full functioning ESF, there is less training for the sows and for the people. It's very modular in design, where we can put 1 feeder, 2 feeder, 3 feeders per pen and build the size of the pen to meet the sow flow. There are less electronics in this system than full functioning ESF feeder. And when I say less electronics, like less sensors, less electronically actuated and moving parts. So down the road in several years to come, we perceive that to be less maintenance. Once again, it's a very flexible unit, and primarily majority of the sow flow in these systems are post-implant, where we put sows into the pen after they are preg checked positive. As I said, the sows do get individual feed because they do have an RFID tag, and we program the amount of feed they get into a computer. We do not feed water in this system because we have to have an incentive for that sow to leave, and if we provided water in the feeder, she may just want to stay there and not let another sow come into the feeder. We can track the sow for consumption, and we have the ability to manage those sows and look at the non-fed lists and so forth like that, very similar to what we do in a full functioning ESF. These are just some pictures of some installation. The picture on the left shows a triple installation where we have 3 feeders side by side. So that pen would hold somewhere between 45 and 60 sows. And then the picture on the right is once sows have been placed into the pen. Just a couple more pictures of the sows. The feeder is open, waiting for sows to enter the feeder. And the picture on the right shows a sow backing out of the stall and allowing another sow to go in and be fed. Software for this system is very, very user-friendly. It operates on the Edge platform. The feeders are connected via Wi-Fi, which has some advantages in that there's less chance of power surges along a hardwired system to potentially damage the circuit boards. We store the historical data of the sow feeding. We also have the ability to send that data up to the cloud so we can look at several days or even months of historical data. We have the ability to feed and manage non-fed sows, and the handheld device that I'll show you next also has the ability to manage the sows while you are in the pen. The sow data page basically is a general page. It shows each individual sow. We can put where she's at. We can put a breeding date in, which then calculates the farrowing date. We can change her feed curve, and we look at what amount of feed she's eaten today. By clicking on that one individual sow, we get a sow card that once again allows us to adjust the curve. We can adjust the percentage of feed she's getting fed in that curve, put in her breeding date. If we want to spray mark her, we can mark her. This is kind of where we manage that individual sow. As I said, we have a handheld device that communicates back to the main control, and everything that we can do on the main computer, the main control, we can do on the handheld device. So we can move sows from pen to pen. We can change the amount of sow feed that's getting fed to that sow. We can change her status and her breed date and so on and so forth. We're going to look here now at just a couple mobile screenshots. We have the main menu. On the right, we have the feed curve. Once again, you'll notice these are very similar to what we saw in the main computer screens. We can add sows into the herd. We can also manage a non-fed list on the handheld device, so we can have that list, go out and find those individual sows and manage them. Well, that is a summary of our GSF, or gestation sow feeding. If you want more information, please go to our webpage or contact your local AP dealer. Thank you.
Wow, welcome, Jeff Schoening. That was some great information, and clearly our producers are excited about your product too. They've been typing some questions in. We'll have time for a few more questions. If you've got more questions for AP, just go ahead and type them in the QA box at the bottom of your Zoom window. But Jeff, let's get started with these questions. First of all, are there studies AP has done to help understand the dynamics of the AP GSF in various systems and configurations?
As far as studies go, scientific studies, I would have to say no, we're not set up to do that. Most of our design work is done by feedback from existing customers. And so we have different feedback from different installations and have configured pens in different ways, and would be happy to work with you on laying that barn out that way.
What about thoughts on installing a GSF into an older barn versus a newer building?
When we started this project years ago, I looked at remodels as one of the main market opportunities for this product. As most of you online know, there are several buildings in the Midwest that are 60-foot wide with partial slats. And having worked with the full functioning ESF feeders for the last 12 years, we've struggled making those feeders work in that layout. So I'm excited about remodeling barns with the GSF. And as you said, the new barns are very easy to design around. So either system, either new or existing barns will work well.
Kind of along those same lines, but as we think about managing sow feeders, you talked about the stanchions and GSFs, and we know about ESFs. Is there one that's easier to adapt to?
I think one of the big drawing points on this GSF, or the walk-in back-out stall, is the fact that it is easier to manage and easier to operate than a full functioning ESF. We have a lot of systems that have opted to go with a stanchion barn, which is very, very easy to manage. You just put sows in the pen and go, but we risk not feeding that sow individually. With the GSF, we have the ability to feed that sow individually and yet not maybe require such the skill level as we would need on the farm with a full functioning ESF.
Wow, lots of information, lots of great products. Jeff, how can our producers get in touch directly with you?
Once again, you can go to our webpage at automatedproduction.com or call our Sioux City office at 712-239-1011. And thanks for having me, Cindy, and thanks for all you guys do for the industry.
Thanks, Jeff. And we really appreciate you being here with us today to talk about AP's GSF or gestation sow feeders. And as always, we appreciate your support of our producers, the Iowa Pork Congress, and you're being part of the Iowa Pork Alliance membership as well. The AP team will join us again this afternoon as well as tomorrow during our spotlights with more of their products. And we're going to move now to Central Life Sciences. That's a division of Central Garden and Pet, a total insect management company. Kirk Dailey is the sales development manager with the swine team there at Central Life Sciences. Welcome, Kurt, with your product information.
Good morning, Iowa pork producers. This is Kirk Dailey, coming to you from my COVID-confined office in Central Illinois. We are teaming up today with Iowa Pork Congress to bring you an instructional video on insect pest management brought to you by Central Life Science. But first, we're going to highlight a new product to our Star Bar lineup known as Alluvium. It's a cockroach bait paste. Enjoy. Next up, we bring you Dr. Grant Allison from Walcott Veterinary Clinic in Walcott, Iowa. Dr. Grant Allison has been instrumental in helping us prove at Iowa State that flies are indeed a disease vector transfer for many of the economical disastrous diseases that affect the swine industry today. Dr. Grant, take it away.
The connection between flies and PED, porcine epidemic diarrhea virus, started in 2017 with the conversation about why this outbreak seemingly comes out of nowhere. And it came up fairly quickly in some conversations that it would have to be an obvious link between fecal material containing copious amounts of virus and what would transmit that, and that could be flies. In April of 2018, with some funding, we went ahead and did a bioassay at Iowa State. So we again captured flies. The virus was on the flies. It replicates by itself, so it's a live virus. So the bioassay was positive, showing that flies can be a vector for PED. So, where does the virus come from that the flies can transmit? Again, it's that connection with manure. And so you have to start looking at the pit itself. These coronaviruses, these RNA viruses, can at least remain their genetic material in the pit for hundreds of days. The actual quantity of virus is astronomical in that pit. So the probability of some remaining viable is just too logical not to consider. In the 30-some years I've been in practice, I never really considered flies to be an important component of disease transmission, and it was a nuisance. It was just get them out of your face kind of problem. But now knowing what we know and even what we don't know but speculate bumps fly control higher up on the list of preventative measures that we need to consider. And in the case of PED, on a typical, say, 3,000 sow farm, when you look at that cost, it's going to be upwards of $500,000. And so fly control becomes a much more economical consideration than just a nuisance type of thing that maybe you deal with something or not. You know, there's various means to do fly control, and personally, I don't like the baits and the sprays. I think you're going to get poor coverage some of the times of year. Really don't want to be spraying liquid on pregnant animals just from a stress standpoint. Some part from a worker safety standpoint where they're handling these products, maybe can't read the directions well. And so we have to find something that's user-friendly, safe, and can be disseminated throughout the environment. And so I've liked the feed additive product where the mill can handle the control means, if you will. And then since it's going through the feed, it's going through all the fecal output of the animals throughout the environment. So there's not really a place for those flies to hide. And in our case, we've chosen ClariFly and have had very good luck with that. It's worked about exactly like we were expecting. In about 3 weeks, you know, the fly population has been disrupted and they're just gone. The spinoff that we didn't expect and may have in part more value is the workers' opinion of the environment and being there without all those flies. And workers really notice that and enjoy that environment being free of those nuisance in their face. And I'm quite sure the animals do benefit from that as well.
Next up, we join Tom Pastor at a farm in Ohio that has fed a feeding trial with ClariFly and had remarkable results. Take it away, Tom.
Generally, we have a reaction from a producer that they feel there's a fly problem. First of all, it's the visual numbers and the specks the fly leaves behind. In addition to creating sanitation issues, they also create biosecurity challenges. Biosecurity is a very important part of the swine industry. We're challenged by diseases such as Seneca Valley virus, PED, PRRS, and now African swine fever. All these have been proven to be carried by insects, especially flies. The flies want to go into the pit. Underneath these sows, there's liquid manure, and they'll want to lay their eggs in that liquid manure. So these are some of the important factors why we use ClariFly in the feed to affect the larval production of the flies and keep them from hatching. ClariFly is very simple to use. You add it to the ration at the mill, the pigs eat it every day, and place the product where it's most effective, in the manure. It requires no additional labor or time on the part of the employees. If ClariFly is in the feed, the pigs do the work for you. The exciting thing about ClariFly, it's an IGR. It's new technology. It's a biorational molecule that's very safe in the environment. There's no other molecule that has the biorational aspect to it that's EPA approved to use in swine rations.
In conclusion today, we've proven that flies are indeed a disease vector transfer for many of the diseases that affect our industry, such as PEDV, PRRS, Seneca Valley, and now it's proven that stable flies can transmit African swine fever. They are also a nuisance to our animals, a nuisance to our employees, and a nuisance to our neighbors and neighborhoods. So when you're looking to get on top of next year's fly populations, think of ClariFly feed-through fly control and allow the Starbar adulticides to clean up your adults that you might have left over. We are now going to open it up for a question and answer session, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Kirk, that was some great information from the folks there at Central Life Sciences. We do have just a couple quick questions in our short amount of time here. For alluvium, what are some of the safety tips in applying it?
Safety tips for applying alluvium would be clearly kind of what was in that video. It's a very convenient, if you've ever laid a bead of caulk, it would be very similar. Put it in a typical caulking gun. The consistency of the product is somewhere between toothpaste right out of the tube and peanut butter. The good part about it is that it does not solid up like caulk would, often plugging the tube if you didn't use it all. It stays pretty, it might dry out just a little bit on that tip that's exposed to the environment, but just simply gloving up and then just not putting too much out at one time. Also, as illustrated in that video, would be helpful safety tips.
Our next question is about the ClariFly. What other insects are affected by that besides flies?
The dark-eyed fruit fly, which many of us would commonly refer to as a gnat in our swine environments, it's actually a dark-eyed fruit fly. It would get those, any flies that lay their eggs in decomposing feed or organic matter, and it would also get the Indian meal moth, and that is the critter that's clogging up our automated systems and pipes with a cobweb type leave behind. It would also get those once the product is in the feed.
And what about withdrawal times? Are there any withdrawal times on these products?
There are codexes in place. It's a very safe, environmentally sound molecule. It's purely a pass-through. There's no passive transfer across the small intestine within the pig. So withdrawal times, there is none. It doesn't get into the animal at all. It simply treats the manure so that when flies lay their eggs in the manure, it prevents them access to chitin to put on the hard exoskeleton where they emerge from their pupae as a reproducing adult fly. So essentially it kills them in the larval stage within the manure, but there are no withdrawal times.
And the last very important question, Kirk, how do our producers reach you to get more information or these products?
You can go to centralflycontrol.com to get more information on our products, calculator, how to mix it. We have two different kinds of ClariFly, 267 and 0.67, and they have a little bit different mixing amounts on a per ton basis. I can also be reached at kdailey@central.com or at 815-761-1668.
Kirk Dailey, we really appreciate you being with us today. And as always, we appreciate your support of our producers, the Iowa Pork Congress, and of course, you're being a member of the Iowa Pork Alliance.
We thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today and for you guys pulling this off virtually.
Thanks, Kirk. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Wow, how was that for some great information in a short amount of time today? You know, the Iowa Pork Producers Association works year-round on behalf of our producers, promoting, educating, and providing a leading voice for a sustainable, socially responsible, and globally competitive pork industry. What's most important is what you do on your farms each and every day. Here's a few fun facts about the Iowa pork and the pigs in our state as we start to wrap things up today. Iowa has 24.8 million hogs, making it the leading state in the nation in pork production. Those hogs are on 5,418 farms. 147,105 jobs are created by the Iowa pork industry. $11.9 billion in value-added activity, $40.8 billion in pork production and processing sales. And here's a big one too, $6.8 billion in household income, or the total payroll, if you think of it that way, related to pork production. And nearly a quarter of Iowa's corn and soybean acres are used to feed Iowa's pigs. The point I'm trying to make, what you do each and every day on your farm makes a difference. And we appreciate and applaud you, the Iowa pork producers. We'll be back with more swine spotlights at 2:30 today. You'll meet AP again with 2 more product spotlights and Innovational Water Solutions and Gene Pro. You'll also want to tune in for the Iowa Pork Congress seminar sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim at noon today. The keynote speaker is Damian Mason, and he'll focus on the business of agriculture. If you haven't heard Damian before, I would highly recommend him. Damian is a fast-paced mix of ag economist, futurist, talk show host, and comedian. You'll need to register for this session, but it's easy to do that at the Iowa Pork website at iowapork.org. Again, just jump on the Iowa Pork website at iowapork.org. We also want to remind you that the Iowa Pork Foundation Scholarship Auction Dollars for Swine Scholars is happening online now until Thursday evening at about 8 p.m. The auction funds scholarships to support future professionals in the pork industry. Last year, the auction funded 23 scholarships. Help us support our youth through scholarships by supporting the auction. There are great items and opportunities for cash donations as well. And for more information, go to the iowapork.org website and look for Dollars for Swine Scholars for that link. You can buy as many items as you like. There is no limit. Just have fun with the auction. Your dollars really will make a difference. And to connect with all the activities at the 49th Annual Iowa Pork Congress, just log on to the Iowa Pork website, Iowa Pork Producers Association website at iowapork.org. Again, that website, iowapork.org, or follow along on social media at hashtag Iowa Pork Congress 2021. That's hashtag Iowa Pork Congress 2021. Thanks for being with us this morning, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the day, and especially at 2:30, right back here during our Swine Product Spotlight number 2. For the Iowa Pork Congress, I'm Cindy Cunningham. Enjoy your day.